Well, let's go live now to Israel. The Israel Defence Forces International Spokesperson, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, joins us now. Jonathan, thanks so much for your time. Give us an update of what is happening right now. It's just gone 1 a.m.
Yes, we are more than 40 hours after Hamas launched what is clearly today the bloodiest and biggest and most gruesome attack on Israel in our history. More than 700 Israelis have been killed, military and civilian, most of them civilian, and more than 2,100 have been wounded, many of them severely wounded who may not make it. It is an attack that is unprecedented in its brutality, the sheer violence that was displayed by Hamas terrorists as they came across the border. They went and executed Israeli civilians in their homes, sometimes in their beds, and have also taken into the Gaza Strip, abducted women, children, infants, elderly people, and disabled people in order to hold them as hostage to barter for whatever political gains Hamas is aiming for. The situation today on the ground as we're speaking is that unfortunately, sadly, we have not yet established full control of all of the communities around the Gaza Strip. You see, there were about 1,000 terrorists that were able to infiltrate into Israel, and we have been able to kill a little bit more than 400 of them. Some were able to flee back, and some are still active and either holding hostages or fighting against Israeli troops. So at this stage, there's fighting ongoing in southern Israel, and I think your reporter portrayed the eerie situation in southern Israel quite well. And it's a situation that we hopefully will be able to finish by the light of day tomorrow in order to declare that southern Israel is cleared of terrorists and then focus on the next stage of the fighting.
Okay, Jonathan, so what is happening right now? We can see live pictures. The Iron Dome is certainly something that affords Israelis a lot of protection. But when you talk about Hamas and the terrorists actually invading Israel and being able to take military positions near the border, is that still your primary concern? So some of these Hamas militants still hold these primary positions?
No, they don't hold primary positions, but since it's such a vast area and since so many terrorists got in, it simply is a matter of a specific process of finding each and every one of them until we can declare safely that there are no more terrorists. And it's a matter of time. There is an abundance of troops, Israeli troops, including special forces in southern Israel, hunting those terrorists down. And once we will establish that they're all taken, then we can focus on the next stage. The Iron Dome continues to save lives in Israel, as it has done for so many rounds of combat between Israel and different terrorist organizations. It does so as we're speaking. There's fire in southern Israel. Rockets are being fired. Hamas and the Islamic Jihad have fired almost 4,000 rockets. 4,000 rockets have been fired within less than 2 days at Israeli civilians. Again, a blatant war crime, indiscriminately firing at civilians by Hamas, something that so many times is overlooked as if that's normal. Rockets are fired at Israeli civilians. And unfortunately, this normalcy of having a jihadi, ISIS-like organization at our doorsteps is something that Israelis and the world have become all too accustomed to. But this will change.
Jonathan, can you give us an idea how far the Hamas militants were able to infiltrate Israel? Is it just around the southern border? How far north were they able to get?
There were reports and there were events more than 20 kilometers from the Gaza Strip. There were attempts by terrorists to hijack vehicles and to speed up towards Tel Aviv. They were intercepted swiftly by security forces. And there were also attempts by Hamas to use speedboats and attack a large coastal city in southern Israel, which is 15 kilometers north of the Gaza Strip. That was also fortunately thwarted. But at the end of the day, this was a massive, massive invasion of Israel. It is by far the darkest day in our history. Never before have so many Israeli civilians been murdered by a terrorist organization. Never before have we had a terrorist holding an Israeli community for hours on end. These are unprecedented things, and the unprecedented nature of the attack will force an unprecedented response by Israel.
What does that mean, Jonathan? What's unprecedented response mean? Because I note in one of your earlier answers to me, you also said that you hope and Israel hopes to end this conflict in the next day. That seems like also an unprecedented military response from you.
Indeed, I am a military man and I speak about military topics. Yes, we do intend to put an end to the military capabilities of Hamas. This shall not be yet another round where Hamas fires rockets indiscriminately at Israel. We retaliate with the Air Force, and it ends with some half-cooked ceasefire brought together by the Egyptians. Today, yesterday rather, Hamas has underwritten its own destruction. The fact that they crossed and murdered, executed so many Israeli civilians and had the audacity to take so many Israelis hostage and bring them back into Gaza, joyfully parading them on the streets of Gaza to be bullied, attacked, and hit, that and many more things has really signed the situation. And just last word, the IDF has been tasked by the Israeli government, by the cabinet, to annihilate all of Hamas's military capabilities, and also to make sure that Hamas will not have the ability to govern the Gaza Strip.
Right.
Now, how that will be translated and what will the military actions be, that remains to be seen. But the IDF has mobilized more than 100,000 reserve troops. They are now mobilized in the south, preparing for various operations. And it's not something that will be short. This will take time because the fundamental nature of the situation and how we need to change our reality along our southern border.
So, Jonathan, if the entire Gaza Strip is wiped out, if that's what needs to be done, will that be done?
Now, we are targeting Hamas and their military capabilities and their governing capabilities. We will never, ever try to target civilians. That is not what we do. The ones who target civilians are these brutal, heinous terrorists that came in and butchered our civilians. That is not what we do. We will track down the terrorists. We are using our sophisticated weaponry to hit the terrorists and their military infrastructure. And if there's a ground invasion, I'm saying if and not when, if there's a ground invasion, then the focus of our forces will be to find terrorists and take them out of commission. That is what we will be trying to do.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, we really appreciate your time at 1:15 a.m. local time.
Thank you.